Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lin. Namaskar. Coming up in the next hour. Prime Minister Modi and his Spanish counterpart Sanchez inaugurate Tata Airbus factory in Vadodara, Gujarat. 40 aircraft to be made in India. C295 aircraft can operate under all weather conditions. Amid rising West Asia tensions, Russia says it's doing all it can to de-escalate tensions there. Egypt proposes a 2-day ceasefire in Gaza. Setback for Prime Minister Ishiba in Japan's parliamentary election. The LDP coalition falls 18 seats short of a majority. Smaller parties now hold the keys to power. And election fever grips the United States. Early voting is underway. Kamala Harris fights on the plank of abortion rights, and Donald Trump hammers home his point on immigration. Pedro Sanchez received a rousing welcome in Vadodara. The Spanish leader is on his first visit to India. They inaugurated a new assembly plant for C295 aircraft, a joint venture between Airbus Spain and the Tata Advanced Systems Limited. They declared 2026 as the year of India and Spain in culture, tourism and artificial intelligence. Both leaders expressed concern over the war in Ukraine and the situation in West Asia, calling for peace and restraint. Meghna Dev reports.
Spain, Pedro Sanchez's first visit to India began from the cultural city of Vadodara. Visuals of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Sanchez in an open jeep waving to the huge crowd at the Shobha Yatra depicted the rousing welcome for the visiting leader. President Sanchez was accompanied by the Minister of Transport and Sustainable Mobility and the Minister of Industry and Tourism and a high-level official and business delegation. President Sanchez and Prime Minister Modi jointly inaugurated the final assembly line plant of C295 aircraft co-produced by Airbus Spain and Tata Advanced Systems Limited at Vadodara. This plant will roll out the first made-in-India C295 aircraft in 2026 out of a total of 40 aircraft to be manufactured in India. Airbus Spain is also delivering 16 aircraft in fly-away conditions to India, out of which 6 have already been delivered to the Indian Air Force.
Joint inauguration by the two leaders of the Tata Aircraft Complex in Vadodara, which will be producing the C295 military transport aircraft. This plant, as you would know, is a collaboration between the Tata Advanced Systems Limited and the Airbus SE Spain.
Both the leaders welcomed the establishment of a fast-track mechanism to facilitate mutual investments in India and Spain. The two leaders also looked forward to an early conclusion of Memorandum of Understanding on Urban Sustainable Development. Memorandum of Understanding on Cooperation in the field of rail transport and the Agreement of Cooperation and Mutual Assistance in Customs matter was signed during the visit. Both the leaders welcomed that interest shown by airlines to establish direct flights between Spain and India. Taking into account the deep relationship between India and Spain and the long-lasting friendship between the two people, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Pedro Sanchez have agreed to make 2026 as the year of India and Spain in culture, tourism and artificial intelligence.
A fast-track mechanism for facilitating investments and other trade issues, cultural exchange program for the year 2024 to 2028, a audio-visual joint commission, and also the year 2026 is being designated as the India-Spain Year of Culture, Tourism and Artificial Intelligence.
The leaders expressed their deepest concern over the war in Ukraine and reiterated the need for a comprehensive, just and lasting peace in line with international law. The leaders also expressed concerns on the escalation of security situation in West Asia and called for restraint by all concerned. Meghna Dev's report for DD India.
In a major milestone for India's defence manufacturing sector, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, along with the President of the Government of Spain, Pedro Sanchez, inaugurated India's first private facility for producing C295 military aircraft in Vadodara. This new facility is set to enhance India's defence capabilities and create an ecosystem for military aviation. Let's take a look at the specifics of the C295 program.
The inauguration of the C295 military aircraft manufacturing facility in Vadodara marks India's private sector's entry into defence aircraft production. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had laid the foundation stone for the Vadodara final assembly line in October 2022. Under the project, India is set to acquire 56 of these versatile aircraft. 16 complete units are being delivered by Airbus directly from Spain, while the remaining 40 units will be made in India by Tata Advanced Systems Limited. The facility in Vadodara is a significant step forward, becoming India's first private final assembly line for a military aircraft. With Tata Advanced Systems leading the manufacturing process, the project will involve assembling, testing, qualification, and maintenance, establishing a full life cycle ecosystem for the C295 aircraft in India. The benefits are further distributed across many companies in the defense spectrum. Bharat Electronics Limited, Bharat Dynamics Limited, and various MSMEs are also contributing to the program. The C295 aircraft is a next-generation tactical airlift aircraft equipped to carry up to 9.5 tons of cargo and operate under all weather conditions. Its short takeoff and landing abilities make it highly adaptable even on unmatted surfaces, enabling quick deployment of troops and cargo for rapid response. The Rs 21,935 crore project between India and Airbus Spain aims to replace the aging Avro fleet in the Indian Air Force with the modern C295 MW aircraft. This aircraft will strengthen India's air transport and operational readiness, making a major advancement in India's journey towards self-reliance in defense manufacturing. With the Vadodara facility in place, India's defense manufacturing sector has taken a crucial step towards self-reliance as well as in the field of Make in India and Make for the World objectives. Bureau Report, DD India.
And Ambassador Ashok Sajanhar, former senior diplomat, is now joining us to talk to us more about this important agreement, the inauguration, as well as the visit of the Spanish president to the government of Spain. Ambassador Sajanhar, to what extent has defense production sort of been enthused in the private sector in India after 100% FDI is permitted through the government route? We know 74% is also permitted through the automatic route.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mark. And, this is the first such example where we have the private sector coming up in a big way as far as manufacturing in the defense sector is concerned. And this is a state-of-the-art technology that is being implemented here. And of course, as you have mentioned, the first 16 come from Spain, from Seville in Spain, and 40 of them are going to be assembled here, tested here, and all the other requirements will need to be done. Many of the MSMEs are getting engaged in this. There are also the PSUs, Bharat Electronic Limited, Bharat Dynamics Limited. So many of these companies are also included. So basically what is happening is that the manufacturing for the defense sector is also moving out of the total control of the government as it used to be. Yes. And the private sector is coming in. We have seen, of course, some of the other companies also, Bharat Forge and Larsen Toubro, Mahindra, Tata's also, Reliance also, they've been active. But this is the first time that a full project is being done principally by the Tatas. And I think as far as the quality control are concerned, delivery systems are concerned, I think that is going to be a very significant move forward. And it will be used of course, for the Indian market to begin with, the
Yes.
56 transport aircrafts. But after all, the going forward, the potential is to
Sure.
reach other markets also.
Indeed. So the facility will also, I mean, as we said, as you said, manufacture 40 C295 aircraft, and but all 56 are going to be maintained by it. So do you also see, you know, a market beyond this for maintenance at least?
Oh, yes, I think so, because, you know, this is right now in terms of the manufacture, it is for the military aircraft. But I can foresee that going forward, there will be possibilities for civilian aircrafts and maintenance, particularly because they would have developed the expertise, they would have all the facilities, and, you know, depending upon what the requirements are and what the orders are for future as they go along. I think the possibilities and the potential would be for much more to be done rather than limit themselves only to this transport aircraft system. Of course, this is going to take a long time because we see that you know, all these aircrafts, the first ones are going to roll out after 2 years. So 40 of them are going to take quite some time.
Right.
But you know, after they have developed all the expertise and after they've got a hang of you know, what is being done in terms of the technology, I'm sure they will be able to apply it to other sectors also.
So you're saying that there is a great potential for production of other aircraft, especially in the civil aviation sector. But and India, of course, is one of the fastest growing markets as far as this is concerned. So it would be good to have manufacturing right here in India. Do you see, I mean, this expertise actually developing faster and many other players also coming in?
Yes, absolutely. I think because the base mark is expanding. You know, as we've been talking, it is a large number of MSMEs, and they will be able to develop their expertise in this area. We have a number of PSUs also who are getting engaged, who are, you know, participating, who are collaborating with the Tatas in this sector. So I think this is going to have a ripple effect and a spin-off impact going across, you know, much broader segment and much broader cross-section. So I think the impact going forward, I'm quite confident, is not going to be limited only to this one particular sector and this one particular region. And it will tend to expand.
Now, looking at India-Spain ties as a whole, how easily does one differentiate the ties, you know, between Spain and India bilaterally and Spain as an important member of the EU?
Yeah, so I think both of them, in my view, Mark, are complementary. And that is what we have seen as far as the joint statement that has been issued today is concerned. That is what we have seen as far as the discussions are concerned, because here we have spoken about how we can take forward our partnership, whether it is in security, defense affairs, trade and economy, where, you know, again, things are happening. Also in the area of new technologies, in the area of culture, in the area of tourism, in the area of education, in the area of people-to-people contact. So all these are being done at the bilateral level, but also at the regional level. For instance, India and the EU, with which we are signing, with which we are negotiating an FTA, a free trade agreement, and also a joint common investments agreement, also a common geographical indications of origin agreement. So there is reference to that also. Spain, because of its heft in terms of its size and in terms of its population and size of its economy, has a big voice. Of course, the voice is understandably not as large as that of France or Germany or even Italy, but still it has a niche position. And there is reference that both the sides will work together to ensure that we have conclusion of the FTA going forward. So I think other areas where India is collaborating with the EU on climate change, on terrorism, which are more of have a holistic nature. There also it is Spain which will cooperate with India, which will collaborate with India to further strengthen our partnership engagement with the European Union.
Ambassador Ashok Sajanar, thank you very much for putting that into a larger context for us. Thank you for being with us. Now, still to come here on DD India News Hour, a report on how the issue of women's reproductive freedoms are at the center of the presidential election in many states in the US. Tensions are rising sharply in the Korean Peninsula. Scenes from the 37th Tokyo International Film Festival. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. The issue of abortion rights lies at the heart of the US presidential elections. There is a separate amendment on abortion rights which is also up for vote across several states. Between the tussle of pro-choice as well as pro-life sides, the outcome of the vote is expected to shape the future of women's identity and reproductive rights. DD India's correspondent Shigeru Ghosh reports.
These presidential elections are turning out to be one of the most polarized in recent American history. Alongside the vote for the White House, the vote on amendment over the sensitive issue of abortion is also there. The outcome could have significant physical, emotional, and social ramification for women in particular and the society in general. One side, pro-choice, believes it is about the fundamental right of women over their own body. The other side, pro-life, says they are fighting for the rights of the unborn child. The amendment on abortion, or Amendment 4, states that no law shall prohibit, penalize, delay or restrict abortion before viability or when necessary to protect the patient's health as determined by the patient's healthcare provider.
It's been a contentious issue really for decades, since the 1980s and the 1990s. But I think what made it really come to the fore in this election was the repeal of the Roe versus Wade decision, Supreme Court decision, which had allowed abortion access all across the United States. When that decision was overturned by the Supreme Court, each state could decide for itself, and it threw the issue back into the public sphere.
As early voting continues across Florida and other states, voters appear divided over the issue of abortion.
My beliefs line up more with pro-life, and so I'm voting for what most people are not in agreement for, because I do believe that every life deserves to have a chance to speak for themselves.
I have family members, mom, sisters, and they should have the right to be able to choose.
Whether it's pro or against, it's going to be the voice of the people that come through.
Last week, Kamala Harris took a detour from the barnstorming the battleground states with stops in Texas, a conservative state that was first to implement a near-total abortion ban. Texas hasn't backed a Democratic president since 1976, and Republican Donald Trump is almost certain to win the state's 40 electoral college votes. But Democrats are betting it provided a powerful backdrop for Vice President Harris's vision for abortion rights in the final days before the November 5th elections. With camera person Jay Shankar, Shubhendu Ghosh's report, DD India, Miami, Florida.
And Amritpal Singh, our correspondent who's in the United States, is now joining us from Philadelphia, one of the swing states, Pennsylvania. So, Amrit, you know, Pennsylvania has generally leaned towards the Democrats, but Trump had won it in 2016. What's the mood like now?
Oh, it's quite neck and neck here, Mark. The cities are where I am, Philadelphia, that's blue. As seen across the United States, the cities tend to be blue, the rural areas tend to be red. Mostly it's a blue state, but the last time around, as you said, that Trump took it. This time all around also it's quite divided. The Trump campaign has been very powerful to get people out to be able to cash on the anti-incumbency of Joe Biden, which Kamala Harris, because she's a part of the administration, has to carry that baggage, though she's trying to give signals that she'll start afresh. But that's weighing her down or weighing her support down. While she's playing her cards, one, the Democratic vote that she's looking at, the other, she's trying to woo the women vote, saying that she will stand for women, as Shigeru in his report said, that abortion is a very big issue here, women's rights is a very big issue here. So Kamala Harris is trying to win over the typical Republican vote also, because in 2022, when the Roe Wade judgment was overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court, there was considerable anger in the women here. And when I speak to women who otherwise say we are registered Republicans, but they say we support Kamala on that. Both have their own strengths and weaknesses. So it's quite neck and neck where I am in Pennsylvania. And because of the number of electoral votes it has, 19, highest amongst the swing states, it could end up deciding who sits in the Oval Office for the next 4 years, Mark.
Okay, Amrit, you've also traveled across different states. So how enthusiastic is the voting in general? Is there an element also of voter apathy?
No, I do not see any element of voter apathy at all. There is an undecided voter, about 5 to 10% in each county. They are undecided which side to go, but I did not see any voter apathy. There are, as happens in any democracy, there are people who are, disenchanted with the whole way this campaign has been run, saying that the kind of language that has been used, etc., that turns them off. But voter apathy, no. Early voting itself, till now, early voting has, if we talk across the United States, the states that permit it, and most states do, there are about 40 million votes already cast. Compared to the last time around 2020, there were 150 million cast. That may look less, but remember, the elections are still about 8 days away. And also given the fact that in 2020 it was COVID, COVID had a lot of postal mail-ins because people did not want to go out in person to vote. Compared it with the previous elections, I think it's a good early voting, and that speaks about, one, voter enthusiasm. Second, it speaks about how, because of the tight race, how both sides are trying to get every vote out, are trying to, enthuse their voter base. In fact, Joe Biden, the president himself, will be casting his early vote today. Mark.
Indeed. Also, Amrit, do celebrity endorsements make much of an impact? And do these celebrities themselves suffer because of their political alignments?
Okay, celebrity endorsements gets the voter crowd out. You've seen that, in Indian elections and in Indian political campaigns being used. They're crowd pullers. I was at Kamala Harris's rally at Houston. She had got Beyonce. Obama is campaigning with Bruce Springsteen. They do get people out, the crowds out to see them at the rallies. Does it translate down to voting, higher voting? I don't know. I think because why I say so is because voters vote on what matters to them, either partisan loyalties or issues they are very concerned about and feel the solutions to that can be provided by this candidate or that candidate. But yes, celebrities do get the crowds out at rallies. Do they suffer because of that? They make their choices.
Okay.
They know what their politics is, where they get benefits from. They make their choices because both sides are using celebrities to endorse them.
Finally, Amrit, how much of an impact are YouTube influencers making? Because a lot of people nowadays don't even watch television. They just are on YouTube.
YouTube influencers are making a considerable influence, and in fact it's quite an organized industry here. Both sides have IT cells which employ influencers or use influencers and reach out influencers, make payouts to them. It's quite corporatized here. So YouTube influencers, because as you rightly said, people consume a lot of social media content. They are big players, but there are influencers on both sides, but they do impact people's minds and shape their thinking, thus affecting their voting preferences. Mark.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Amritpal Singh, for joining us from Philadelphia for the moment. Now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world.
Thank you.
Sri Lanka's Election Commission has announced that over 13,000 polling stations and over 2,000 counting centres will be set up for the upcoming general elections. The island nation will hold the general elections to elect 225 members of parliament on the 14th of November after the newly elected president, Anura Kumara Dissanayake, dissolved the House last month. Punjab School Education Department in Pakistan has issued new directives to change school timings across Lahore in response to rising smog levels and air pollution. The opening time for all public and private schools within Lahore's jurisdiction will not be earlier than 8:45 a.m. starting Monday. The change will remain in effect until January 31st next year. The UN's weather monitoring body said that the rate of accumulation of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere has been faster than ever before over the last 2 decades. In its annual greenhouse gas bulletin, the World Meteorological Organization said that carbon dioxide concentrations hit a new high of 420 parts per million last year. Actors and directors from Japan and abroad have graced the red carpet for the opening of the 37th Tokyo International Film Festival, one of Asia's biggest film events. Opened on Monday, the festival features 208 films to be screened at cinemas across the Japanese capital. Prize winners will be announced on the closing day, that's the 6th of November. Still to come here on DD India News Hour. We'll discuss the hung verdict in the Japanese parliamentary election. Kashmir holds the first ever all-female boat race. Airports Authority of India gets a new chairman. Vipin Kumar takes over the new post.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India. watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Here's a recap of our main stories. Prime Minister Modi and his Spanish counterpart Sanchez inaugurate the Tata Airbus factory in Vadodara, Gujarat. 40 aircraft to be made in India. C295 aircraft can operate under all weather conditions. Amid rising West Asia tensions, Russia says that it's doing all it can to de-escalate tensions there. Egypt proposes a 2-day ceasefire in Gaza. Setback for Prime Minister Ishiba in Japan's parliamentary election. LDP coalition falls 18 seats short of a majority. Smaller parties now hold the keys to power. Well, Japan's election results show a bruised Liberal Democratic Party and its longtime coalition partner, the Komeito, falling short of a majority in the lower house. The opposition Constitutional Democratic Party of Japan, that's the CDPJ, they have made gains, but still they've come in second. The results have left no single party with a clear mandate, leaving those with a chance to scramble for partners. Here's a report.
The political landscape in Japan is undergoing significant changes following a weekend snap election. Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba's coalition has faced severe setback, with voters delivering a harsh verdict. No single party has emerged with a clear mandate to govern the world's fourth largest economy.
I think voters' interest in this election was not bad, but the campaigning period was short. Also, some Liberal Democratic Party supporters who wanted to punish the party for its scandals were not up to voting other parties in, and hence decided not to vote.
Economically, Japan is bracing for headwinds, while strategically, an assertive China and a nuclear-armed North Korea may view Japan's political stalemate as an opportunity.
In the midst of severe security and economic conditions, politics must not be allowed to stagnate, not even for a moment.
The Liberal Democratic Party and its coalition partner Komeito have seen their seats in the lower house of parliament reduced to 215, down from 279. Notably, 2 cabinet ministers and Komeito's leader Keiichi Ishe lost their seats. The main opposition, the Constitutional Democratic Party of Japan, CDPJ, has increased its seats to 148 from 98, but still falls short of the 233 needed for a majority.
LDP has various options, but only Japan Innovation, Democratic Party for the People, or Constitutional Democratic Party of Japan can cover the lost seats needed for a majority. So I think it is important that we watch how LDP will develop a relationship with these 3 parties.
The yen has plummeted to a 3-month low, reflecting market concerns over the anticipated weeks of political maneuvering required to form a new government. Prime Minister Ishiba, who took office less than a month ago, now faces the challenge of forming a larger coalition with smaller parties that have also gained seats. CDPJ leader Yoshihiko Noda is attempting a similar strategy, though analysts doubt the stability of such a coalition. Ishiba called the election a year early, hoping to secure a public mandate. Despite initial high ratings, his popularity has been marred by a scandal involving unrecorded donations to LDP lawmakers. The LDP's decision not to endorse several scandal-tainted candidates was undermined by reports of campaign funds being funneled to these very candidates. Support from smaller parties, such as the Democratic Party for the People, DPP, and the Japan Innovation Party, JIP, which won 28 and 38 seats respectively, could be crucial for the LDP. In a historic shift, a record 73 women have been elected to Japan's traditionally male-dominated parliament, surpassing the previous record of 54 set in 2009. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, Professor Shrabani Roy Chowdhury, Professor at the School of International Studies in JNU, joins us now. Professor Roy Chowdhury, thank you for being with us. Will it be easy for Ishiba, to extend his coalition to garner the 18 seats that he needs?
It's very difficult, and this time more so because the citizens generally have been disapproving of the scandals in which LDP is marred. However, past experience of non-LDP coalitions have been very bad. In the sense, 2009 when Hatoyama, displaced LDP, there was a revolving door prime ministership. Almost every year we had one prime minister, which is not very good for a country like Japan. As Ishiba today said, it is both politically is a political instability in a security challenge as well as economic challenged country does not augur well. So maybe Ishiba might pull in a few smaller parties into his folds in the coming 30 days.
Professor Roy Chaudhary, also, how long do you think this process is going to take for government formation? Because, I mean, it's impacting, as you did say, the economy is going to be impacted, the security environment is being impacted, so time is of the essence.
Technically, the rule book says 30 days in which this whole, the parliament has to convene and then the leader has to be chosen. What usually happens in a Japanese case is that here there would be a number of candidates who would begin, and then they will slowly come down to two candidates. But even with two candidates, you might have a different problem, because of the two, one might not see a clear winner. And if the person wins with only few, then the entire instability actually will continue, though in upfront there would be a prime minister.
Also, is Japan, as you did mention, the revolving doors, it's returning to that pre-Shinzo Abe period where they had, a steady stream of short-term prime ministers, and that actually did, for the last 20 years, I think, except for Shinzo Abe, that was going on.
No, it's not true that way, because there are only 3 times that we've had, twice before this that one has had different party. Way back, it happened in the 1994, 93, 94, followed by 2009. But both the times, the oppositions were not able to, garner strength, and LDP actually made a very good move to come back. In this particular case, the only difference is you have the Constitution Democratic Party of Japan, who is actually been the DPJ, that is Democratic Party of Japan 2009, one of the leaders who was also the prime minister between 2011 and 2012. He has been promoting very strongly for an opposition to work out its differences and be the change. And if he is able to garner strength, which he has already reached out to the trade union leader, and if he is able to garner strength, especially from Democratic Party of for the People, then I think they can pull it off. But there are differences among the smaller parties and the way they look at the security concern and how they interpret constitutions, and which becomes the reason why there would be differences even among, if they want to form a coalition, but they will have to work out how they would want to look at the security interpretation.
Professor Roy Chaudhary, Japan has depended on the US in terms of security, and we see that the US is going in for an election as well. So there is this situation of uncertainty to some extent. And then, of course, China says it's an internal matter of Japan, the current hung parliament. How would you view this situation from, the way China has responded? Of course, we don't know what North Korea said, but one presumes that they are very much, they and China would act in concert.
Yes, USA goes into election, and LDP has been the strongest alliance for USA, because the entire alliance system was crafted, and LDP is a strong supporter. But what is more or less in line is the Constitution Democratic Party of Japan also actually approved of the alliance system. It is only the Japanese Communist Party and Socialist Party who are actually anti the alliance. So to that extent, I don't think the alliance is going to be difficult. But if you have a very unstable political situation in Japan, for USA, it becomes an issue of you to work strongly against China, because containing China, Japan has been the major player. For Japan per se, with China saying it's it's domestic concern, we are not really concerned with it. But essentially, whoever is the leadership which emerges from whatever the equation that is formed, China would be definitely looking strongly at wanting to see how it works. What I have seen of Lula during his very small tenure that he did hold this post as a prime minister, he is moderate. He would be wanting to clearly have a balance between how to navigate the regional security challenges as well as international concerns.
Right, we leave it there. Thank you very much, Professor Shabini Roy Chowdhury. Thank you for putting that story into context for us. Now, tensions continue to rise in West Asia after Israel's strikes on Iran 2 days ago. In fact, the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has said that the attack on Iran achieved its objectives, and the Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson has said on Monday that Tehran will use all available tools to respond to Israel's attack. The diplomatic efforts at de-escalation have also intensified. The Kremlin on Monday said that Russia is doing all it can to de-escalate tensions in West Asia. Egypt has proposed a 2-day ceasefire as well in Gaza. Fuzail Ahmed gets us up to speed.
Tension continues to simmer in West Asia after Israel attacked military targets in Iran with pre-dawn airstrikes on Saturday in retaliation for Iran's attack earlier this month. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel's airstrikes hit hard Iran's defenses and missile production.
In the early morning hours of Saturday, we fulfilled our promise. The Air Force attacked throughout Iran. We hit Iran's defense capabilities and its ability to produce missiles that are aimed at us.
In response, Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghai said that Tehran would respond firmly and effectively to Israeli strikes on military sites over the weekend.
I emphasize that our position is clear. We are using all available means to respond firmly and effectively to the aggression of the Zionist regime. Basically, the nature of our response will depend on the nature of the attack.
Concerns over a wider conflict in West Asia have prompted international airlines to suspend flights to the region or to avoid affected airspace. Greek airline Aegean Airlines cancelled flights to and from Beirut until December 17 and to and from Tel Aviv until November 12. The Algerian airline Air Algerie has suspended flights to and from Lebanon until further notice. Latvia's Air Baltic has cancelled flights to and from Tel Aviv until November 30. Air France extended its suspension of Paris-Tel Aviv flights until October 29 and Paris-Beirut flights until November 30. Air India has suspended flights to and from Tel Aviv until further notice. Amid all these efforts continue to de-escalate tensions in the West Asia. The Kremlin said on Monday that Russia was doing everything it could to try to facilitate attempts to de-escalate tensions.
We maintain these contacts, and of course, Russia is constantly doing everything possible to call on the parties to show restraint and to facilitate any attempts to de-escalate tensions.
Early on Sunday, Egypt proposed an initial 2-day ceasefire in Gaza.
In Egypt, during the past few days, efforts have been made to move the situation towards a 2-day ceasefire, during which 4 hostages would be exchanged for some prisoners held in Israeli jails.
While EU Foreign Policy Chief on Monday renewed calls for an immediate ceasefire in Lebanon. EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell's comments came at a forum in Barcelona. Fuzail Ahmed's report for DD India.
Well, tensions are rising sharply on the Korean peninsula. Pyongyang has accused Seoul of breaching its airspace and sending drones into its territory for political purposes, calling it an infringement on their sovereignty. North Korea warned the South of a merciless offensive if such incursion takes place again. Raghav Kumar Jha delves deep into the flare-ups between the two Koreas. Here's his report.
Simmering tensions between North and South Korea are now seemingly boiling over. North Korea's defense ministry on Monday blamed South Korea's military for sending drones into its territory for political purposes, calling it an infringement of sovereignty. The ministry said South Korean drones flew over Pyongyang at least 3 times this month to distribute anti-North leaflets as per its investigation. North Korean state media said that during an analysis of the drone's flight control program, authorities uncovered more than 230 flight plans and flight logs since June 2023.
On October 27, the spokesperson for the Ministry of National Defense of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea announced the final investigation results of the violation of our sovereignty that confirmed the takeoff point, intrusion route, and the purpose of intrusion by the drone from South Korea found in our capital area.
Warning South Korea, North Korean Ministry of Defense said, if an incursion happens again, the South will disappear forever by the merciless offensive of the DPRK. Kim Yo-jong, the powerful sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, also issued a separate statement saying Pyongyang would not send drones southward. But under such a situation, I would like to see once how the dirty curs in Seoul bark. The world may also be curious about it. South Korea's military said Pyongyang's argument on drone intrusion were unilateral claims, accusing the North of entering its airspace multiple times over the past 10 years, and said that Pyongyang will have to pay heavy price of any misadventure in future.
If North Korean drones infiltrate our airspace, we, the South Korean military, will respond accordingly and will take appropriate measures to protect the safety and property of our people. As we have warned multiple times, our military is on a readiness posture and we will respond appropriately.
Tensions between the Koreas have rekindled since the North began flying balloons carrying trash into the South in late May, prompting the South to restart loudspeaker propaganda broadcasts. Earlier this month, North Korea accused South Korea of flying drones into its capital, reattaching up the tension. The drones allegedly scattered propaganda leaflets over Pyongyang in what the North described as a provocation that could lead to armed conflict and even war. After leveling these allegations at the South, Pyongyang said it had ordered border troops to be prepared to fire. South Korea in turn said it was ready to respond and warned that if the safety of its citizens was threatened, it would signal the end of the North Korean regime. Enraged by South Korea's warning, the North blew up sections of 2 roads that connected it to South Korea. The next day, it claimed that 1.4 million young North Koreans had applied to join or return to the army. These flare-ups are at the latest in a string of exchanges between the two Koreas, which have seen tensions rise to their highest point in years since the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un declared in January that the South is his regime's #1 enemy. Raghav Kumar Jha reporting for DD India.
Delhi's air quality remained in the very poor category on Monday due to reduced wind speed, which hindered pollutant dispersion. The air quality index, the AQI, was recorded at 328, slightly better than Sunday's average of 356. The Anand Vihar area reported an AQI of 357, down from 405, while the Akshardham temple area recorded 357, worse than the previous day, which was 261. By 4 p.m., the city's 24-hour average AQI was 304, a decrease from 355 on Sunday, with 23 out of 36 monitoring stations indicating poor air quality. Let's take a look at other stories making the news now. Kashmir hosted its first ever traditional boat race for women in the Dal Lake on Sunday. The race drew over 150 enthusiastic women, breaking barriers and marking a step towards empowerment in the valley. India's first ever female chief jury member at the 2024 Paris Olympics for water sports organized the event for women. Madhya Pradesh has become the first state in India to organize a state-level pre-conference of parties in Bhopal on Monday. The theme for this event was Global Efforts for Climate Change, States' Contribution to India's Commitment. The program was addressed by the state's Chief Minister, Dr. Mohan Yadav. Goa Shipyard Limited, India's premier defence public sector undertaking, shipyard, it launched two indigenously designed and constructed fast patrol vessels, Adhamya and Akshar, for the Indian Coast Guard on Monday. Vipin Kumar, an IAS officer of the 1996 batch, on Monday took over as the new chairman of the Airports Authority of India. Kumar will lead the AAI to achieve its organizational goals of developing world-class airport infrastructure. The Nepal government will provide cancer treatment to children under 14 free of cost in the designated public hospitals, according to Nepal's news agency RSS. This decision will be effective from the 16th of November this year, and it's expected to relieve the financial burden of the parents of cancer-suffering children. Time now for the sports news. And Manchester United have sacked their manager Erik ten Hag after a disastrous start to the season. The former striker Ruud van Nistelrooy has been named interim boss. United dropped to a lowly 14th position in the points table after suffering their fourth defeat in 9 league games on Sunday. They have won only 1 of their last 8 games in all competitions. They are also 21st of the 36 teams in the Europa League table, having drawn their last 3 fixtures. In fact, their opening 3 fixtures. Ten Hag's position had been repeatedly called into question when the club finished 8th in the Premier League last season. Former Indian cricketer VVS Lakshman will step in as the head coach of the Indian team during the white ball tour of South Africa next month. He will step in as the incumbent national coach, Gautam Gambhir, is Australia bound for the Border Gavaskar Trophy that starts November 22. India will play 4 T20 internationals during the series, which begins on November 8, with Surya Kumar Yadav leading the side. Hockey India has announced an 18-member team. This is for the Women's Asian Champions Trophy. The trophy, in fact, the tournament will be held from the 11th to the 20th of November at Rajgir town in eastern India. The team will be captained by Salima Tete, while Navneet Kaur will serve as her deputy. India have entered this competition with high expectations, having clinched the title at last year's edition. India will open the campaign against Malaysia on the 11th of November. Gary Kirsten has resigned as the head coach of Pakistan's ODI and T20 international sides. Kirsten was appointed by the Pakistan Cricket Board on a 2-year contract in April 2024. However, he has stepped down within 6 months due to differences of opinion between him and the board. Kirsten's move comes a week before the start of Pakistan's ODI series against Australia. The PCB announced that Test coach Jason Gillespie will fill Kirsten's shoes to the tour of Australia for the 6 white ball matches. And as Diwali approaches, a growing number of consumers are turning to local handmade products to celebrate the Festival of Lights. This trend is known in India as Vocal for Local, and it aims to support Indian artisans, boost the local economy, as well as preserve traditional craftsmanship. Here's a report.
This Diwali, the spirit of Vocal for Local is transforming the way people shop for the festive season. With a rise in demand for Indian-made products, the spotlight is on small businesses and local artisans producing everything from handcrafted decor to eco-friendly diyas.
हमारे ये कलर्स हमने अपने हाथों से बनाई है, वॉल हैंगिंग से हाथ की बनी हुई है और दिए हैं डेकोरेट किए हुए हमारे हाथ से और कुछ हमने ये तोरण बनाई है जो हमारे हाथ की बनी हुई है जो देखने में बहुत सुंदर भी है और अच्छी सेल भी हो जाती है हमारी अपने हाथ की बनी हुई।
These artisans here, they are selling such beautiful things, handmade things, which is so eco-friendly. And being with them and seeing their artwork in our festival would definitely highlight my festival and make my festival so lighted and bright.
I just opt for going for these handmade products made by these local people.
You prefer those?
I prefer those instead of going to the malls, buying say imported stuff and all. I prefer buying it from them.
In the last few years, the Indian government's initiative, Vocal for Local, has encouraged businesses to promote regional crafts, boosting India's economic self-reliance. From terracotta lamps to handmade sweets and textiles, consumers have a wide range of quality and locally made products to choose from. With millions celebrating Diwali with locally made products, the Vocal for Local campaign is helping to revitalize the Indian traditional art forms and supporting India's economical resilience. This festive season, the true glow of Diwali shines not just in homes but also in the lives of the local artisans across the country. With video journalist Praveen Sharma, along with Kriti Vadodara, this is Sumana Bati Revana Siddhappa from New Delhi reporting for DD India.
And we end today's news hour with a glittering display of lights and diyas that have illuminated the banks of the river Saryu in Ayodhya. In anticipation of this mega event, over 1,100 people participated in the Saryu Aarti on Monday, with a significant number of women taking part. 2.8 million eco-friendly lamps are being lit, and it will be a world record of sorts. Well, Ayodhya is beautifully adorned for Diwali, and a laser show with colorful lights and a captivating sound and light show is also on. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour. Let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those of you on the go, let's give you the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app that's available on Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code and download it now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. My name is Mark Lin. From all of us here in Delhi, thank you very much for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.